I don't think I have to really explain to anyone over the age of, I don't know, 6, that our lives are filled with worries. Our lives are filled with cares. Our lives are filled with concerns. Maybe when we're 6, it's, will so-and-so play with me at school? Or how will I do on my test? As we get older, those cares, you know, they multiply. And they get deeper. And they get even more important than will so-and-so play with us after school. We worry about our roof and our basement and our car and our investments and our kids and our grandkids and our jobs and the 1,001 things that our lives are filled with. Peter was worried about the wind and the waves, but he took his eyes off of Christ. And those cares, which were very real, began to overwhelm him. They began to swallow him up. Matthew says he began to sink into the waves. All because he took his focus off of Christ. And the same is true for each and every one of us. The roof and the basement and the garden and the car and the investments and the kids and the grandkids and the job and the school will overwhelm us if we let them. They'll overwhelm us if we take our eyes and our hearts off of the real source of our strength. If we take our eyes and our hearts off the real source of power in this world, and that's Jesus Christ, who calls us all to follow in this life. Yes, in the midst of daily life, we know when we were 5, a sunny summer afternoon seemed to stretch for 5 or 6 days. And now 5 or 6 days seem to disappear in 1 hour. The time goes faster. And if we're not alert, it's easy to forget about our spiritual life. It's easy to get overwhelmed. But in the midst of all of that, that's exactly what we're called to not be overwhelmed, to place our focus where it really belongs. Because one day, whether it be soon or very, very far off, each and every one of those cares is going to disappear. We won't have to worry about them anymore. And we're going to stand in front of that same Jesus Christ, who's going to ask us for an accounting of how we did. I want to point out, too, in this gospel passage, 1 or 2 lines that it's easy to read right by and not think that they are of any import. It is I. Do not be afraid. Not a surprising line. A line we can easily pass by because the story is about Peter, right? And the waves and the wind, and what Christ does. But that line is the very same line with which God addresses Moses from the burning bush. When Moses asks him, okay, you want me to go into Egypt and free everyone? Who are you? Who should I say sent me? I am. It is I. Do not be afraid. Christ is intimately identifying himself here as God taken flesh. And the next throwaway line is almost at the very end of this passage, when Peter and then Christ get into the boat and Matthew records, and then everyone in the boat worshipped him. It doesn't say simply that they thanked him. It didn't simply say that, they were appreciative. It says they worshipped him. That's an important word in a religious text, because we reserve worship for one being alone, and that's God. So not only has Jesus identified himself, but the apostles have heard him. They have accepted this. They've accepted this identification. They've seen his power over the very forces of nature. And by the way, this gospel passage takes place right after the multiplication of the loaves and fishes that we heard about last week. And it starts off at that very place. And he dismissed the crowd and went up to the mountain alone to pray. They've seen him miraculously multiply food and feed 5,000, which has been unseen since Old Testament times. They've seen him command the forces of nature. They have heard and accepted his identification as God, and they worshiped him. That's the lesson for us here, too. That this God who calls us, this Christ who calls us to follow, this Christ who wants us to focus on him in our lives, this Christ is nothing short than God in our very midst, who loves us and has mercy on us. To Jesus Christ be glory, both now and ever, and ages of ages.